More details. So far, we know that the grand jury hearing evidence and testimony in Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation into the 2020 election interference investigation has now returned a sealed indictment against an unnamed individual. The prosecutor did not say the name or the initials of the individual indicted, but the foreman of the Smith's federal grand jury was present in the courtroom, thereby, as you can imagine, linking it to Donald Trump. The government has requested that the indictment be filed under seal and a summons be issued to the unnamed defendant, a request which was granted by the magistrate in that courtroom in Washington. This comes, of course, as Donald Trump said he expected to be indicted by Jack Smith's investigation. There is more. There's a Trump campaign statement just dropped. Actually, let's just bring it to you. This is nothing more than the latest corrupt chapter in the continued pathetic attempt by the Biden crime family and their weaponized Department of Justice to interfere with the 2024 presidential election, in which President Trump is the undisputed frontrunner and leading by substantial margins. The Trump campaign statement goes on to say, but why did they wait 2.5 years to bring these fake charges right in the middle of President Trump's winning campaign for 2024? Why was it announced the day after the big crooked Joe Biden scandal broke out from the halls of Congress? The answer is election interference. The lawlessness of these persecutions of President Trump and his supporters is reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s, the former Soviet Union and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes. President Trump has always followed the law and the Constitution with advice from many highly accomplished attorneys. These un-American witch hunts, the statement continues, will fail, and President Trump will be re-elected to the White House so he can save our country from the abuse, incompetence and corruption that is running through the veins of our country at levels never seen before. 3 years ago, we had strong borders, energy independence, no inflation and a great economy. Today, we are a nation in decline. President Trump will not be deterred by disgraceful and unprecedented political compares this pursuit of him to Nazi Germany and the former Soviet Union, James.
Yeah, I think that's Donald Trump speaking in extremes to appeal to the extremes. Interestingly, he doesn't mention the indictment specifically in that statement, Anna, although nobody's disputing that he is indeed the target of an indictment that is coming his way. I mean, I think Donald Trump is cementing there his message that this is all about the weaponization of the Justice Department that has targeted him, that he is a victim. Interestingly, he uses the phrase un-American. That is key politically, I would suggest, in all of this, because the crime that he has been accused of is one of essentially encouraging insurrection. It doesn't get any more un-American than to attack American democracy, to try to hinder the peaceful transfer of power. And that is a strong political message that would emanate from this courtroom, should he be found guilty, certainly would be extended by Donald Trump's political opponents. So I think there we see his reaction to the legal aspects of all of this, but also what he would see as the political battleground. And just one breaking bit of news, Anna, according to Reuters, the US, the United States, has filed an action against Donald Trump. That's according to a court document. Donald Trump being named for the first time.
James Matthews, thank you very much indeed. The US charges Trump with conspiracy to fraud the US, witness tampering and conspiracy against the rights of citizens. This is a document quoted by the Reuters news agency. US files against Donald Trump in a court document. One wonders what has been unsealed or not, James. All the US networks are now citing sources that Trump has been informed he has been indicted by that grand jury in 2020 election probe. That's 3 US networks now reporting that. It will be fascinating to read further this indictment in detail, certainly the federal indictment against him in terms of mishandling of documents in that case in Florida made very interesting reading, James.
Yeah, and you know what? This is according to Reuters, what we're getting here, talking about the legal territory on which prosecutors are laying charges. And unsurprisingly, actually, this is pretty much the contents of that target letter that Donald Trump received a couple of weeks ago. Conspiracy to defraud the United States, essentially cheat the country out of a fair election. I imagine that's the extension of that sentence. Witness tampering. Now, you'll remember, among other things, which will be contained in the indictment, you'll remember that call to the Secretary of State in Georgia, talking about the extra votes that Donald Trump needed to win the election in that seat. Notwithstanding there's separate legal investigations in Georgia. But I wonder if that is an example of the kind of evidence that has been accumulated and has fed in to that charge. Trump saying, give me the votes that I need to overturn the free and fair result that went for Biden in the state of Georgia. And that last one, conspiracy against the rights of citizens, to go to a voting booth, to tick the box as they wish, and to have that vote recorded as they intended. That would be the crime that impinged on that human right, that rights of citizens. And I'm just getting more snaps from Reuters here. And Trump faces 4 counts in the 2020 election case. The indictment mentions 6 unnamed co-conspirators. That's interesting, because in the course of these grand jury investigations, jurors have heard from a number of the president's men, including his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. They have heard from the former Vice President, Mike Pence, and people who were close to Donald Trump, legal people who were giving him advice in those days after the 2020 election, which Joe Biden won, people whispering in his ear, possibly